Okay, I don't know what happened. The opening didn't quite play the way we'd hoped, but that's okay. We'll just carry on as if that great music got us going. We're all pumped. We're ready to go. And of course, this is of course Leaf Talk with Aaron William Freeland and Candid Frank Stanishi. Thank you for joining us. I guess we're in a bit of a jovial mood, Aaron. A victory can tend to lift one's personal well-being a little bit.
Oh, definitely. And the fact that there was some office sponsored holiday cheer doesn't hurt either.
We're going at 6:30 because Aaron couldn't make it at home and over to the show in time because he was too busy having a good old time. Well, hey, listen, you took the bus, so there aren't any concern on my mind. I'm not even going to ask. I'm not even going to ask if you imbibed because it's irrelevant. You took the bus. Unless you were driving the bus, there's no problem. All right, let's
People
talk
yell
about
at me when I do that, Frank. I don't do that anymore.
especially the driver when he's laying on the floor. Um, yeah, well, the Leafs, their nemesis, of course, is the Panthers. The last couple of years, they've replaced the Lightning, who replaced the Bruins, and so now, the Leafs go in there and talk about injuries. That's a team with a lot of key injuries, but as does happen, injuries can be irrelevant at times. Whether the injuries were the reason why Toronto was able to play as well as they did against Florida, I think it was more or less Wall setting the tone and being a Wall.
Well, it's amazing what a couple wins will do for you because it
Huh.
wasn't that long ago that we were talking about the Maple Leafs being in the basement of the Atlantic Division. As it currently stands, with this most recent victory, coupled with their win over Carolina, they are now sitting at sixth in the division, having dropped Florida all the way down to the basement, 1 point behind the Buffalo Sabres.
Yep.
Uh, so, yeah, the Leafs have managed to kick the Stanley Cup champs all the way down to the basement of the division, courtesy of that 4-1 win. And this time around, I'm very happy to see that it was I hate to use the term lesser lights, but it was the lesser lights that actually shone the brightest. With recent waiver wire pickup, Stetcher getting a goal and Dakota Joshua potting an absolute beauty right in front of the net there for the second one. The Leafs are now 3-1-0, and they're finishing their road trip on Thursday in Carolina against the Canes. They're currently 3 points out of third place in the Atlantic and 4 points shy of a wild card spot. But you know, the way that the line of Nicholas Roy, Dakota Joshua, and Bobby McMahon played was eye opening. Dakota Joshua showed flashes of the player that the Maple Leafs thought that he would be when they picked him up. Nicholas Roy proved to be not as much dead weight as a lot of Toronto fans thought he was, and Bobby McMahon was, well, Bobby McMahon performing the way that he was supposed to. Roy actually won 12 of his 15 draws. The Leafs dominated in the faceoff circle. They won 39 of 54 faceoffs. And at the end of the day, Stetcher had his first goal as a Leaf, and Scott Laughton had his first goal of the season.
Uh,
Any way you look at it, a really good result.
Here's the most important thing I can say. I said from the beginning of this season, as you know, I've said the Leafs have to figure out how to find players because they don't have the draft to do it with. And I said, free agency, well, anything that allows them to find talent to put on their team so that they can overcome some of the problems that, let's say, injuries create. Well, Troy Stetcher is the perfect example of what I was talking about. It's not like they have to pay for that kind of player because they don't have it to give to pay them, right? To pay whomever to get them. But here's the thing that I like the most about this kid. His size goes against what this generation of Maple Leafs that you and I have followed because he fits the Dubas profile of a defender, doesn't he? But the difference is he came to the Leafs not as a draft pick. He came to the Leafs as basically somebody they picked up because he was available to them. They picked him up. And here's the thing I like about him, Aaron. He simplifies getting the puck out of the zone, one. And two, at the blue line, when he shoots the puck, it actually makes it to the net. Because I think you and I can agree one of the biggest problems with the Leaf defense is they can't seem to find a guy, and I'm pointing at Riley the most, that can't shoot the puck and get it to the net. Get it to the net so that other plays can be made on that puck. And that's what I like about him the most. The Leafs have had a couple of young defensemen that they've tossed out that were capable of doing that. One is in Washington, and I hated seeing him go because that's one quality that he could do that the Leafs lacked, was a defenseman that couldn't put the puck through the crowd. And that's what Stetcher does, and it even went in the net. That's an added bonus. But getting it through a crowd and being able to find the openings from the point, very important. And that was part of the reason the Leafs won, because it keeps the defense of the other team honest, because they can't assume to run out and block the shot and then have a break. Instead, they're playing defense. So good for the Leafs on this one. Now, William Villeneuve, his name was raised before Stetcher's, it seems, his multiple top 4 defenseman appearances moved into place. There was some talk that Villeneuve could be the guy the Leafs should bring. Aaron, why hasn't he come up?
Well, here's the thing. As much as they've suffered injuries, with Brandon Carlo being out, as per Craig Berube, it is what it is, and Chris Tanev. It's been a long road for him. The Leafs drafted him in the 4th round in 2020. He's developed with the Marlies into a really efficient, really effective puck-moving defender. But part of the issue is Villeneuve himself. He's openly admitted, for me, it's just a question of trying to put everything together and have a complete game. I would say I think I could be better, and I will be. It's just something that I want to focus on right now. So I understand the push to get him up there, and he is a really great asset for the Marlies when it comes to moving the puck out of the zone and getting shots on. A complete 200-foot game is really something that he's been building towards. The other issue that we're dealing with here is the Marlies actually kind of need him almost as much as the Maple Leafs do. Dakota Mermis, who the Marlies have been leaning on for big minutes up until recently, is currently up with the Leafs. Matt Benning, who's another veteran defender that the Leafs picked up off waivers last year, would also log key minutes for the Marlies, but he's been out for over a month with a lower body injury. The Leafs picked up Henry Thrun from the San Jose Sharks. He's missed the last 2 games with an illness. So Villeneuve, at the ripe old age of 23, is currently the oldest, not only in age at 23, but also the most experienced defenseman with the Marlies right now. He's gone from being a prospect to an anchor for the Marlies when it comes to defense. And at this point in time, unfortunately, the Leafs, I don't think, can afford to bring him up. As much as I would love to see him up with the big team, as part of the non-roster defense group, he's still on an entry-level contract for $775. He will become an RFA next year, but I'm hoping eventually this year the Marlies will come back to full strength. They'll get everybody back. They'll be able to trust Thrun a little more, and they'll be able to give him at least a few reps with the big team. But right now, unfortunately, he's not going to see a lot of exposure because he's needed far too much with the farm team.
May I jump in now?
Of course. Sorry.
Okay. No, don't apologize. I just wanted to be polite for a change instead of rude. Here's the thing. Everything you said points to one factor. The last thing you said is actually what this is all about. And I'm gonna characterize it this way. If I'm Villeneuve, I'm on a team that needs me really bad, that's playing me in every possible situation that a team can, that depends on a defenseman. In other words, he's the highlight guy. He's the guy whenever a situation where they need to have their best defenseman out there, he ends up being the guy. I think he likes it. And I think he likes it because he knows this is an investment in his future. So what we're hearing, and what I'm hearing between the lines that you're stating, is that he understands, if I stay here, if I go up there and come back down and up and down, watch and don't play, I'm not going to be better. So maybe I'm okay with staying here for a little while longer because there's an opportunity right now here. He's accepting and realizing, it sounds to me, if I can go by what you said, does he accepts this as an opportunity for him to get on the speed rail to improving as a defenseman, which is the best thing for him in the long run. He's obviously of the belief that it's okay if you're a defenseman and you're in the minors till you're 24 or 25. It's actually normally that's pretty much what happens, right? Unless teams are very desperate to have you on the team. So the point here is that he's learning and he accepts the fact that he's learning and he's glad that he has the opportunity to learn. So to have him in that frame of mind, Aaron, if you're the Leaf organization, you're doing this. Because you're very glad to hear that he's more concerned with his progress and how it fits into his future as opposed to, oh, there's a chance to be a Leaf today. Oh, I want to go there. Whether I'm ready or not, I don't care. I just want to go there. I want to roll the dice. Well, we know that young defensemen and young players who roll the dice and go to the advance to the major leagues, sometimes it creates a setback. And who wants that? Not the Leafs, and apparently not him either. So good for him. Let's talk about the NBA. And I guess the Raptors are looking really good, Aaron, but I see you're digging up some information on as far as size and toughness might be. They might not have enough of that to move forward.
The unfortunate fact of the matter is the Raptors, they are a good team. Let's get that out of the way right off the hop. They are a good team this year. Compared to where they were last year, they're fantastic. But the issue that they're currently running into is that they're a little short, both literally and figuratively. Unfortunately, their lack of size and to a certain extent their lack of grit is something that could potentially count against them. Now, they most recently had a rather impressive win streak to get themselves all the way up into first in the division. The issue that they're finding now is, unfortunately, they don't quite have the same stick-to-itiveness that they need. With the fact that they've got a couple injuries, they're missing R.J. Barrett. They're missing Puddle. Unfortunately, that has translated into losses. So while they have been pretty awesome when it comes to getting back up there, the fact that there's a slight lack of size and a slight inability for them to impose their will on opposing teams, that could potentially harm them.
Let me just to make sure that I understand what you're saying. I'm going to be specific. As I would insert, rather than the word size, I would insert the word length. I think what you mean is length, not size.
Yes, not necessarily bulk,
yes,
but height.
You mean length. Yeah, no, it's okay. It's okay. I just want to make sure, and I didn't want to put words in your mouth. That's why I wanted to ask. Yes, length is an important thing in basketball. Needless to say, it's a game that favors height. Doesn't discriminate against a lack of it, because you can be a really good player with, even though you may lack in height. It still doesn't mean that there's no place for you in the game, because short guards are very, very, very historically impactful in the game. But what we're talking about is the activity underneath the hoop, whether it be your hoop or the other hoop. Size does matter, and in this case, length does matter. And the thing about the Raptors is that they're playing really well, and they're getting to the point where, like anybody else in any other company or organization, if you don't keep thinking about how you can improve, you'll slip down to not being as good as you were. In other words, you've got to be better just to stay in the same place. So in the case of the Raptors, they see a couple of things they need to work on. The organization understands it. Good for them. But for now, enjoy the way they're playing. And yes, you suffer the slings and arrows of injuries. That's something that you have to depend on and build on. But my biggest problem is their their best player, Ingram. Last year, he played a grand total of, I think, 18 games, and he's up to 25 now or something like that. Sorry, I don't have it accurately, but my point is accurate. My point is that he hasn't played a lot. So now he's playing a lot now, and his body needs to adjust to the taxing notion of playing a full season as to being injured and playing part of a season. So that's another thing that they need to. So length of him playing is another length that's important for him, in his case, to adjust to. Barnes, 28 points. This kid loves his defense, and he's, there's a swaggle for him. He's really starting to look like he believes he's a good player, and let's hope it helps his confidence and not become overconfident.
No, and you know what? He had a fantastic game against the Blazers. After losing 2 games in quick succession, the Raptors were able to put it together and pull out a 121-118 win. Not nearly as dominant a performance as they had put together during their win streak, but at the same time, he got 13 points in the second quarter. He was named the NBA's Eastern Conference Defensive Player of the Month and also had 7 rebounds, 7 assists, and 2 blocks. Emmanuel Quickly during that game also had 23 points with 8 assists, and Grady Dick had 14 points coming off the bench. So, they're managing to put it together when it counts. Toronto's fast break attack is currently the best in the NBA. They were again dominant. They got 25 points to Portland's 10 on the fast break. They were averaging 20.2 fast break point per game. That's 0.7 points a game ahead of the Miami Heat. The Trailblazers, however, are tied with Houston Rockets for 15th in the league with 14.8 per game before the last tip-off. So they are, while they may be lacking in length, they are certainly not lacking currently in scoring ability and heart. So they're first in the Atlantic Division. They're second in the conference. This bodes well for them going forward. They're second behind the Detroit Pistons, who are 17-4 at 15-7. All signs point to this is going to be a decent year for them.
And that is what the fans are hoping. Let's go over to the Canadian Football League. I had a chance to meet the new head coach of the Toronto Argonauts, and Mike Miller. Had a nice conversation with him. Well, he's a very passionate guy. Aaron, what are you digging up about him?
Well, he's taken over for Dinwiddie because Dinwiddie jumped and went to the Red Blacks. He's got a wealth of professional knowledge, this guy. He's coached in the NCAA. He's coached in the NFL. He's been doing it for almost 3 decades now. He was named the quarterback coach in 2022 and helped Chad Kelly become the league's most outstanding player in 2023. He helped Nick Arbuckle throw for career highs in 2025 while capturing the Grey Cup most outstanding player in 2024. He started at Robert Morris, but was soon brought in by Pro Football Hall of Fame coach Bill Cowher and his hometown Pittsburgh Steelers as offensive quality control coach. Not 100% sure what that means, but we'll run with it. He's an offensive-minded coach, and for what we've seen of the Argos in the past few years, I think it's been rubbing off, and it's something that they definitely need.
He also is the reason why Bethel Thompson had a great year that he did going into the Grey Cup, and the one that Kelly won, that first one. He had one of his best seasons. Yeah, he's a very good coach, coaches quarterbacks very well. And we had a nice long talk with him. He really appreciates his time with Cowher. He's very loyal to them. And he's also very grateful to Ryan Dinwiddie, because when they were both in Montreal, Ryan said, if I ever become a head coach, you're going to be on my coaching staff, I promise. Well, he kept his promise, and this comes from Miller. So, yeah, so there's that association between, we forget how small a world, the Canadian Football League is, and he just sort of helped me remember it. And he overcame throat cancer, and that's something that he wasn't afraid to talk about. He mentioned it. He brought it up himself, didn't wait for anybody to ask about his health. He brought it up. And it made him very emotional thinking about the success he had in overcoming that. and really happy to be part of the organization, and very happy with the doctors here in our community in Toronto, where you are, for what they did to help him have a better, quality of life. All right, the Alouettes signed Tyson Philpott. Good move. I won't forget that catch in the Grey Cup. He got leveled, but hung on to the ball.
For those of you that were sick of him torturing teams in the Eastern Division,
Like the Argo?
He's back until 2027 now. So,
Great.
that's excellent
Awesome.
news for the Alouettes. Terrible news for everybody else.
The Lions signed American receiver Jalen Darden.
Yeah, at 5'9", 175, who's selected in round 4 by Tampa Bay in the 2021 NFL draft and appeared in 21 games with them. Darden returned 50 punts for 472 yards and 21 kickoffs for 426 yards, while hauling in 8 receptions for 14 yards for the Tampa Bay Bucks. He was claimed by the Browns in December 2022, and now he's going to be signing. He's signed with the BC Lions, so a great offensive weapon for them to add. I'm a little frightened as to what he's going to be bringing to their offense, especially with Nathan Rourke getting him the ball. But we'll see how that goes in the next season.
Ryan Dinwiddie and the Red Blacks signed 7 Americans, including running back Elijah Collins.
Yeah. So they've signed Elijah Collins, running back Marquez Cooper, punter Noah Getman, receiver Robert Lewis, quarterback Matt Morrissey, receiver Stam Schnee, and another quarterback, Haj Malik Williams. So they are certainly looking to bulk up in that regard. Have they hit their limit for Americans yet? Do you know, Frank?
It doesn't matter. At this point, it doesn't matter, Aaron. They could have 100 of them. It doesn't matter. Because right now they're just contracts. What happens is there's got to be a cut down. There'll be a cut down before the season starts, and then it starts. Numbers actually begin to matter.
And there's certainly a certain amount of familiarity for them because most of these guys spent time on the practice squad before the start of the last season. So there's a certain amount of familiarity there, and it looks like they're looking to build out.
Yeah, it doesn't. It at this point, it's about bringing guys in, having a look at them. Yes, there's a limit to how many you can bring in, but it's plenty. Like by the time the regular season kicks in, it's like they'll cut 40, 50 guys, Aaron. So that gives you an idea of the latitude you have at this time of year. You have quite the latitude. So Major League Baseball and the Blue Jays, funny. The strike again. Ugh.
I know. I apologize for the pun, but I didn't write the headline.
I know.
The same day that the Blue Jays signed Dylan Cease to a 7-year, $210 million deal, they also scooped up right-hander Cody Ponce, who's making his return to Major League Baseball after spending 3 years playing in Asia. They signed him to a 3-year, $30 million deal. Now, Ponce was not among Yahoo Sports' top 50 free agents, but he did receive a mention as an intriguing player pursuing a comeback. Previously, he was a member of the Pirates organization, and he was released in the 2022 season. At that point, he had a career 5.86 ERA in the majors. He then opted to try playing overseas, first playing in Japan with the Hokkaido Nippon Ham Fighters and the Rakuten Golden Eagles. That didn't work out too well. His 4.54 ERA across 3 seasons was well below league average. But he came back with a 17-1 record and a 1.89 ERA in Hanwha in the Korean series. So now he's moving back to the major leagues with an 8-figure deal to play for the Jays. All signs point to this is a very good value signing for them.
Experimentation sometimes, the mad scientist approach is something the Jays are known for. Let's go into hockey. Habs, Sens, Kachuk, Zetterland. They lead the Sens past the Habs 5-2. It's up and down year for both these teams.
It has been a wild season for both. Kachuk finally coming back off injury, and Fabian Zetterlund both had a goal and an assist. Drake Batherson, Jake Sanderson, and Artem Zub also scored as Ottawa snapped a 2-game skid and ended a season-long 7-game road trip. Jordan Spence and Tyler Cleven each chipped in with 2 assists apiece, and Linus Ullmark stopped 19 shots. Nick Suzuki and Juraj Slafkovsky replied with power play goals for Montreal, who've lost their 2nd game in a row. after falling 7-2 to Colorado on Saturday. Sam Montembeau had a bit of a rough outing and made only 24 saves. Ottawa now with 30 points has leapfrogged Montreal into second place in the Atlantic, and the Canadiens have now dropped out of the playoff picture.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
Well, this is the year where last year almost every team made the playoffs, every Canadian team. We were following the Canadian teams. Calgary was the only team that didn't make it. This year, we're talking two in. And now Montreal dropping out. That means now Ottawa's the only Canadian team in a playoff spot. So it's amazing how much things have changed. And this team, the Jets, oh my goodness. Josh Norris and the Sabres beat them 5-1.
You know you're in trouble when you have a closed door team meeting after a game against Buffalo, and that's what happened post game. Josh Norris, returning from injury, had 2 goals and an assist in his first game back. He got his first goal of the season with 5:06 left in the first, assisted by Zach Benson and Tage Thompson. He added a backhander 41 seconds into the third, assisted by Benson and Rasmus Dahlin. Bowen Byram, Jason Zucker, and Alex Tuck also scored for the Sabres, and Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen made 23 saves. Kyle Connor scored the only goal for the Jets, so the whole KFC thing is still in effect. Comrie allowed 3 goals on 14 shots in the first period. He was pulled in favor of Thomas Milic, who came out to start the second and made 15 saves.
Flames lose to the Predators.
I can't really be upset by this. Reed Schaefer and Ozzy Weisblatt each scored their first NHL goals. UC Saros made 27 saves. The Preds dropped the Calgary Flames 5-1. Bunting had a goal and an assist. Steve Stamkos and Jonathan Marchessault also scored. And Nicholas Hague had a pair of assists for the Predators, who have won 3 of their last 4. Morgan Frost scored, and Devin Cooley and Dustin Wolf combined for 23 saves for Calgary, who now concluded a 5-game road trip at 2-2-1. Unfortunately, after getting a big deal at the start of the season, Dustin Wolf has been less than inspiring. Devin Cooley has been one of the major surprises for them. Up next, the Flames are going to be playing Minnesota and Wallstedt, and the Predators are playing the Panthers on Thursday.
Now, let me see. The Oilers have a guy named McDavid and some German player on their team.
Yeah, Draisaitl or something like that.
Yeah, and like they're referred to as 2 of the best players in the world on normal evenings. Maybe today's not the day that we do that because they lost 1-0.
Mm-hmm.
The Oilers lost 1-0.
They lost to a goalie named Jesper Wallstedt. So I think that tells you all
He's
you
an
need
ex-Oiler.
to know.
He's an ex-Oiler.
4 shutouts in 6 games. This dude has been absolutely on
They're hunting
fire.
for a goaltender, and one of their old guys has come back to kick their ass.
And it's that whole revenge game theory that we'd like to play
on. Yeah, okay. It's just not nice. It's just not nice. Let's talk about the Canucks, and of course they ran into McKinnon, and everybody runs into McKinnon, and it always means a problem. The Canucks lose 3-1. None of the Canadian teams have won against the only reason the Sens won is because they played another Canadian team. But the rest of the Canadian teams, and including the Canucks, have lost, and the Canucks lost to the Canucks. My goodness, the Canucks lost to the Avalanche. I can get it out honest.
The Avalanche are 14-0-3 in their last 17 games. Mackenzie Blackwood made 11 saves after Scott Wedgwood departed in the second period with an upper body injury. This is the second longest point streak for the Avalanche in franchise history, just behind a 17-0-2 stretch during the 2021-2022 season. Brock Nelson scored. Nathan McKinnon had 2. All things considered, it was the Avalanche ran the Canucks show up and down the ice. It was, if you're a Canucks fan, it was not pretty. If you're an Avalanche fan, it was magnificent. The Canucks are going to be getting a four-game homestand on Friday against Utah. The Avalanche are opening a 4-game road trip on Thursday against the Islanders. These are 2 teams that are passing each other in the standings, long since. The Avalanche continue to climb. The Canucks are just bottoming out at this point. It's kind of sad.
So the Leafs play tomorrow?
I believe the Maple Leafs' next game is going to be tomorrow against
Yep.
the Carolina
The
Hurricanes.
Canes. Yeah. All right. Well, that's something to look forward to and talk about on Friday. He's Aaron William Freeland. I'm Candid Frank Stanishi. The Leafs won their last game. A lot of happy people around, I guess.
We'll see what happens.